What is going on, Bills Mafia, Built in Buffalo fam? Welcome back. Another episode of Off the Edge coming to you right now. Got a great one for you guys today. Izzy's going to be joining me again. Another playoff edition. Patrick Mahomes coming to Buffalo. Bills Mafia is going to be ready to greet him and have a warm welcome for Patrick Mahomes coming in. But we're going to talk about all of it, get into all of it. Bills, Chiefs, everything going on this week for the Bills. It's going to be a great one. Off the Edge starts right now. Let's go. What is going on, Bills Mafia, Built in Buffalo fam? Welcome back to another episode of Off the Edge. I'm Shoop, as usual, Ben Shoop, whatever you want to call me, Shooper, Shoop, whatever you guys want to call me whatever. But back again with Izzy. You know, I always say that he's reoccurring, but it's just at this point, you know, like we said, it's
part of the show, baby.
Yeah, part of the show at this point. But yeah, no, we got Izzy back again this week. It's gonna be a fun one. Izzy, before we get into everything, how you doing on this fine Saturday evening?
I'm doing all right. You know, it's my 3-day weekend, so I get to kind of relax a little, enjoy the other games. You know, tomorrow I'll get to be home and enjoy the game, and in the morning we go see the Beekeeper, and then come home and watch us kick the crap out of the Chiefs.
Yeah, and nobody has to worry about taking work off this week or anything. Well, unless you work on Sundays, obviously. But majority of people that work Monday through Friday, right? They don't have to worry this week about it being a Monday game. It is going to stay Sunday this time. Got a good one. I am fortunate. I'm happy to be able to go outside now and go places because I've been stuck inside the past few days. I live literally like right near the stadium. So for anybody that's wondering, I am in that part that really just got slammed. But, you know, it is cool to see then on the other side of that, I've been able to see them clearing the snow out, getting everything ready around the Bills Stadium and everything like that. So they are doing a great job. And it is funny. I know a lot of the pit jokes have been going on, right? With people jumping into the pit.
Sacrifice to the pit.
They did come out and say there's going to be more security there. And I found it funny as last game. We're walking back from the game, right? And we're going to like walk back to my house, and we're walking past the fencing where the pit is, and there's snow just built up all along it, like to the point where it looks like you could just walk right up the snow and walk right over the gate. This week, I just drove by it today. They ended up getting all of the snow out from there, so nobody, if you do end up trying to go over the fence, you have to fully climb it this time. You can't just go over the snow. So I thought that was a little funny. I just thought it was funny that they were clearing it off. I was like, that's hilarious that they saw people making these jokes and they're taking them seriously, which, I mean, for Bills Mafia, they're doing it. They kind of need to. But we got another game coming up. Before we get into the other games, Houston going on, Kansas City going on right now. Before we get into not Kansas City, Houston and Baltimore going on right now. But before we get into all that, though, I want to ask you just about the Pitt Steelers game, Steelers, Bills, just what you thought about the game and your overall thoughts.
The score was pretty much what I expected. You know, I didn't expect it to be a 2-touchdown win. I expect like a 10-point win. You know, I think I had it winning by 11. I think I had it, 27 to. No, that's my one for the Steelers, for the Chiefs. I had it like 24-13 or something like that, and it ended up better than I thought. So, you know, I'm all for that. If you kick their ass worse than I said, then I'm happy to be mad, or I'm happy to be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was going to be, you know, I didn't necessarily. I was kind of with you. I didn't think it was going to be like a huge blowout. I didn't think, you know, it was going to be like a 40-10 game. I saw a lot of people thinking that, which, you know, on paper, yeah, maybe people would, you know, think, oh, the Bills should absolutely kick the crap out of the Steelers. But I thought they played well. There was never really a point in that game. I know a lot of people were saying, well, it was a 7-point game in the fourth at one point. There was never really a point, though, in the game where I felt like the Bills weren't in control. It really did feel like a game that from the get-go, the Bills had control of it, no matter how close the score was. So I think they played well. Obviously, still some things they can clean up. a lot more injuries as well, which we'll get into in a second. So that definitely hurt seeing the amount of players go down. Got lucky with a couple, it's looking like, but still, it ended up getting the win. As a win's a win, no matter how you get it. And at this point in the playoffs, at this point in the season, you just want to win, right? So Bills did move on, beat the Steelers there, but there is a game going on right now, which is Houston and Baltimore. I believe it's 24-10 last time I checked. It's on commercial right now.
It's not going good for Houston.
Yeah, not going good for Houston. They really can't get anything going on offensively right now. Lamar Jackson's using his legs very, very well today. So it's just, Baltimore's a good team. They're the 1 seed for a reason. So it's looking like they're going to be, hosting. There's 12 minutes left, 12:20 right now left in the game. It looks like they're going to be hosting.
They have the ball too.
And they have the ball. So it looks like they'll be hosting the AFC Championship in Baltimore, unless they have a Titans-esque collapse kind of. So as Lance brought it in here right now. Oh, wrong one. And John was still 24-10 there, but yep, Bills at Ravens if the Bills win. And yes, Lance saves his wallet. True, that is true, saving the wallet there. But yeah, no, it's looking like Baltimore's gonna end up winning this game. So it looks like if the Bills win, they'll end up going to Baltimore. So what are your thoughts just now on this game going on right now and the potential of the Bills to Baltimore if they win?
So, I mean, Baltimore's probably, the team that was more likely anyway to win. However, what they're doing really is exploiting that, terrible offensive line of the Houston Texans. Really, the Texans got to this point just based off the fact that C.J. Stroud was able to work around the horrible offensive line. They're going to really have to invest in that line. Outside of left tackle Larry Tunsil, who's really good, the rest of them are kind of blasé on that team. And so the best thing that they can do is invest early draft capital because their receivers look fine. Dalton Schultz, really good tight end. Devin Singletary's played very well for them this year. So I think at running back they're set. Plus they have Damian Pierce. It's time for them to go heavy on the offensive line. Trade up if you got to, whatever you got to do. But yeah, it's gonna be a problem until they invest in that line. They'll get to the playoffs, but they won't do anything until they get that fixed.
Yeah, and Houston, they've had a phenomenal season. I mean, I think did a lot better than most people thought. Making playoffs and winning a playoff game is a huge, huge milestone for this regime over there in Houston, and they got a bright future. So they're a team that even though this year it's looking like it's going to be coming to an end in about 10 game minutes at least. It was a good run for them, and Baltimore's a phenomenal team, right? So. It's a lot of people expected Baltimore to be in the spot that they're in right now. So we'll see though if the Bills can move on to end up playing looking like Baltimore as we mentioned. That game right now just hit 10 minutes there, so we're about to be under 10 minutes for that game. But before we get into just talking in depth about the Chiefs and the Bills, I do want to just go over some of the injury reports and just the moves that the Bills did make today. So the transactions, they ended up elevating Andy Isabella and AJ Klein, so they get a little bit of help on offense there with Andy Isabella, a little bit of help on the defense there with AJ Klein. They did release Matt Hack, so that does make it look like that Sam Martin will be good to go, even though on the injury report it still says questionable. That's a sign telling us he's going to be good to go for tomorrow. And then they did sign defensive tackle Eli, and I'm always going to mispronounce his name. Anku. Yep, they signed him to the practice squad. A lot of people thought it was going to be Leonard Fournette back to the practice squad.
I think it's Eli Anku, actually.
Eli Anku. Oh, so Eli Anku, yep. A lot of people did think that was going to be Leonard Fournette. Ends up being defensive tackle, which, makes sense, especially with how the running back room has been looking recently. They've been looking pretty good. So not too much of a playoff money spot needed there. But yeah, so those are at least the transaction they made. Now, when it comes to the injury report, it's a long one. It's a real long one, not something you want to see. Josh Allen, though, full practice, good to go. Neck injury, but he's good to go. Christian Benford, unfortunately, with that knee injury, is listed as out this week, as well as wide receiver Gabe Davis. So there's 2 out there. Terrell Bernard is still questionable, though. That's the big one. I know that it's probably looking like not going to play, especially with AJ Klein now being activated from, the practice squad, but it's probably going to be one of those, wake up tomorrow, see how it feels, see how they can, once they get it moving around, see how he looks there. But he's questionable. So that's a big one. I wanted to just ask you on that one, though. Terrell Bernard, what are your thoughts on him being questionable for tomorrow?
I think that regardless of the fact, that he's questionable or whether he plays or not, AJ Klein was going to get elevated anyway because you're still missing Balen Spector. And so with Balen Spector being down, you have to have that spot filled. Now, Dotson might be coming back, but you're still down a backup linebacker, even with, Bernard playing. You have to replace Balen Spector on the roster. So until Balen Spector gets back, I think we'll see AJ Klein activated regardless. Gabe Davis, I'm actually fine with him being down. The offense seems to be rolling a little bit better without him. Fewer drop passes, just being honest. And I don't know, we have our contingency of fans who love Gabe. And I like Gabe. He serves a purpose, but the blocking part, Trent Sherfield can do that just fine. And then for the receiving part, Khalil Shakir has more than made up for the difference. Like Khalil Shakir is just outstanding. So I'm fine with that one. The Benford one hurts, though. Christian Benford injury hurts because he's been balling out, man. He's been earning everything he's gotten this year. Interceptions, holding quarterbacks to a low completion percentage and low passer rate. That interception against what was it? Miami?
Against Miami. Yep, against Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, how amazing is that? That's Tyreek Hill. And he just stuck with him and then went up and got it.
Yep.
So, yeah, Benford's the one that hurts the most, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know. And the sad part is we're at what, almost halfway through the list right now, which is like the crazy part, right? And you did mention end up being Spector. He is out as well. Mm-hmm. The good news for the linebacking core, though, is that Tyrell Dodson is going to be active. He's full practice from his shoulder yesterday. I'm sorry. So he's going to be good to go. Stephon Diggs is also good to go, even though he had the foot. They're listing it as foot/vet rest. He was limited Friday, but that they're saying he's good to go. So Stephon Diggs will be good to go. Rasul Douglas is still listed as questionable. Full practice on Friday. That's one of those things, though, that he even said that he would have been good to go last Sunday. He's going to be playing this Sunday, so he'll be good to go, even though he's still listed as questionable. Leonard Floyd, that was just vet rest. He's good to go. Micah Hyde, neck, good to go. Even he's been full practice all week. Mm-hmm. Taron Johnson, still questionable with the concussion. It all pretty much, I think, comes down to if he gets cleared tomorrow. We'll see about that. I know he's been limited all week, but that one definitely would hurt majorly. So it's Taron Johnson is one of those guys where you hope that he's out there. He's one of the best players on this defense, if not the most valuable at this moment. He's been absolutely balling this season.
All pro, baby, all pro.
Yeah, all pros. That's exactly why he's all pros, because he has been balling. Daquan Jones, vet rest, playing. He's good to go. We did mention Sam Martin. He was limited, but it looks like, again, he's going to be good to go. And then Von Miller was just vet rest. He's good to go as well. And then Taylor Rapp is listed as out as well with a calf injury. So Taylor Rapp, out of Taylor Rapp, Taron Johnson, Rasul Douglas, those types of guys, they're those guys. Which ones are those? What are your thoughts on those guys being in and out?
I'm really hoping Taron gets in there. I'm really hoping. The other ones I'm not really so worried about, but the Taron Johnson one, that's the one we really need to be in there. Otherwise, it's Cam Lewis going in there, who's solid at slot. He's not a slouch as a slot, but he's also not the caliber of player as a Taron Johnson, who, from what I heard of all the votes for All Pro, was only second team by one vote. Like that's the guy right there. The rest of them, rest up this week. We have most of our core ready. Sean McDermott's been very good at collecting them or getting them collected on the field, so that way they are able to produce. Taron Johnson is the one we can't afford to be missing.
Yeah, I agree with you there. He's the real big one. It's phenomenal news, though, at least, getting, again, Rasul Douglas back as well as Tyrell Dodson. And without those two, I don't know what they would have done in the secondary and the linebacking core at that point. It's really a shame what this defense has had to go through this season. But again, that is, like you said, it's got to be props to Sean McDermott, because he's been an unbelievable job at getting guys to plug in there and play well. Cam Lewis being one of those guys. I know he has had his ups and downs, But for the most part, he's been a solid player this season. So Cam Lewis is one. Even guys like Balin Spector, even Terrell Bernard, right? Just guys stepping up and playing phenomenal football. So hopefully then with all these injuries and with whoever's out, whether Terrell Bernard's in or out tomorrow, same with Teron Johnson, hopefully again they can get guys to step up. But long injury list. And then John, as I might have came in a little bit late, is he questionable? He's still questionable. So we'll find out tomorrow morning, probably right in the morning, probably around 10ish, 11ish is when they'll start to be little rumblings about if he'll play or not. But he is still questionable. And then Cheryl here with the update. I did actually see that as well up there on the screen. 31-10 Baltimore. They did score again. So like we said, it's going through Baltimore this year. They end up getting the 1 seed, and it's working out for them. Yep. There's all the injuries, a lot of them. Just we're 15 minutes into the show, and usually we're way past this part already, which is the funny part. But unfortunately, got a lot this year.
Got a lot, CVS receipt.
Yeah, literally, it is. It's one of those things where, every week you kind of look at the injury report and really hope that all right, if it's during the regular season, get him healthy for the playoffs, right? Get him healthy for the playoffs. Playoffs come around. Once you guys get hurt, it's tough to watch these guys go down. But again, did get lucky, it looks like, with Terrell Bernard, at least long term. So if the Bills do move on, it looks like he'll at least be there for Baltimore if the Bills win. So we'll see, though, how that goes. But let's get a move on here and talk a little bit of the game here, the actual game going on tomorrow night. 6:30 for those who do not know is going to be at the Ralph or Highmark Stadium, whatever you call it nowadays. But the Ralph will always be the Ralph to me, at least. Last week we started with the offense. We talked a little bit about the offense to start. This week we're going to start with the defense, though. We talked about how the Bills defense has a lot of injuries, how they're going to do against them, how it's going to kind of go for this defense with all these injuries. So I just want to start it off for you with a real easy question. Does this Kansas City offense scare you? Yes or no?
No, it does not. They've got 3 real weapons: Pacheco, Rice, and Kelsey. Kelsey's not the same weapon he was. Rashee Rice is the rookie, still trying to find his way, but he had an excellent season. And Pacheco, he's been down with injury this season a little bit. Don't know how close to 100% he is, but our run defense has been pretty solid all year. We've had some hiccups here and there. And then our pass defense is pretty immaculate, as long as Douglas is out there, which I saw that he is going to play. So happy to have Rasul Douglas back out there. It's going to be interesting to see if they start Dane or Elam on the other side of him. Probably Dane, but I wouldn't be mad if it was Elam. They'll probably rotate in and out anyway, depending on the coverage scheme that they're running. But it's not something that worries me. They kicked 5 field goals against the Dolphins last week. They should have won by 40, but they kicked 5 field goals. So it was 26-7. I don't really see it. So I think that our defense is much better than Miami's. I think that our defense, even with the injuries that we've sustained, they're still much better than Miami's defense. And I don't think that they're going to be able to pour the points on like they did against Miami with all those field goals.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not super scared of the offense. However, I am scared of one man, and that man is Patrick Mahomes. I feel like, we talk about Josh Allen, how he's, this top-tier quarterback in the NFL. He's an amazing quarterback, does things that no other QB can, no other person in the world can. Kansas City's got a similar type of guy over there, right? Patrick Mahomes is a top-tier, in my opinion, the number 1 quarterback in the NFL, and a lot of people, I think, have the same opinion. Is Patrick Mahomes, without a doubt, at least top 2, right? Up there with, I think, the only person that could rival him is Josh Allen. But Patrick Mahomes already has the Super Bowls, right? Already has the MVPs. He's looking, if he retired today, he might get into the Hall of Fame as of right now today. Probably would right now.
Well, God forbid if he got hurt, right? If he got injured and could never play it down, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, exactly.
He's basically the quarterback version of Gale Sayers.
And he's in his 7th year and his 6th actual year starting, I believe, because he did not start his first rookie year. So yeah, he's 6 technical seasons into his career, and he's already a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's an unbelievable quarterback in this league. So does the offense scare me? No. Does Patrick Mahomes Yes. So that's also then another question to you. Does Patrick Mahomes scare you when you're looking at, maybe, you're looking at the offense, you're saying, well, this offense as a whole, no, doesn't scare me. But are you scared to see Patrick Mahomes on that other side?
No, I'm not. And the offense is the reason why. Like he's throwing balls to players, and they drop more balls than most teams in the NFL right now. They're on the upper end of drop passes, and their biggest guy who drops passes, like our biggest guy who drops passes, is out this week. Kadarius Toney, he's not playing. But then the other guys just aren't as good at separating as Kadarius Toney is. So you're gonna deal with subpar separation instead of subpar catching. Neither of those is a good thing, but I guess it's better to have subpar separation than catching. Against this defense, though, I don't know. I'm not really that worried about it. If they do not get after Mahomes, that could be a problem, though.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And that actually brings me into my next question of what does the Bills defense need to do to succeed? And that was part of mine, is just containing Mahomes and keeping him in the pocket and collapsing that pocket.
Yes.
You cannot let him get outside the pocket and use his legs. That's one thing, because he even though he's not, maybe not Lamar, maybe not Josh with his legs, he is still a very good running quarterback. And when he gets out, he can make you miss and make you at least hesitate to even tackle him. We saw that against Miami last week. A couple players were hesitant to tackle him, but who knows? That could have been more just based on Miami, the way that they play and everything. But so that was one of mine, is just contain Mahomes, keep him in the pocket, and make sure that pocket collapses. Because if you're going to let him sit all back there all day, as you said, then he's going to pick you apart. But while that means you can't just let him get outside the pocket easily, you do have to contain him as well. So I think containing him, no big plays and no bad penalties, man. That's the two things the Bills defense has been absolutely, it's been killing them this year, has been big plays, right? And this defense has at very few amount of times this season have you looked at the Bills defense and went, yeah, they played bad this game, or they played bad, this whole day. But when it has, it's usually been because they give up big plays, they give up big runs, whatever it is. And then, as always, just with the penalties, can't have the bad penalties there. And I want to bring up Cheryl's comment here. The refs scare me more than Mahomes. That's partly why. We all know what's going on with the refs. We all know that, if we're fighting the refs, the Chiefs are going to end up, winning there. And it's been something that has been talked about a lot this week, and usually it is talked about, but I think it's talked about a little bit more based on who is reffing the Bills this week. I believe that they're 0-4 with Hockley there as the ref, or maybe 1-3 if I'm not mistaken. It's 1-3. Yeah, one win. The last game was the Eagles game that they had this crew. We all know how that went with the horse collars and just the missed calls and intentional grounding and everything that really went on. So,
was so bad it ripped his jersey off, damn it.
Yeah, and I believe that out of Sean McDermott's entire career, he's been 10 or more penalties in like 12 games, and I think around half of them are from Hockley, or 3 out of the 4. I'm sorry, 3 out of the 4 have been 10 or more penalties that Hockley has wrapped. I apologize. So yeah, it's been a tough one for Hockley and his crew against the Bills, and then the Chiefs, the other hand, have had a great time with Hockley as ref. So it's been talked about a lot. So that's my thing, is just no bad penalties. Don't even give them a chance to call those, right? Whether it's after the whistle, whether it's downfield, whether it's just any little things that you're going to have going on there, this crew will not hesitate to throw a flag. So my 3 keys then: contain Mahomes, no big plays, no bad penalties. That's going to be mine. So what about you? What does this Bills defense need to do to succeed?
I agree with what you said with the whole collapsing the pocket. I don't know about containing Mahomes so much as getting after him. Like they need to get after him. Interior pressure to me is the key to doing that. You can contain him on the outside, but if you can get Ed Oliver and Daquan Jones forcing him to move towards those guys, that's where we'll get our sacks. That's where we've traditionally done that against the Chiefs in our wins. Is you get in his face directly up the middle, and then somebody like a Greg Rousseau gets cleanup duty. So that really, to me, is how they get after this offense. Nice coverage, keeping on your receivers, discipline in the backfield, and blitzing is probably not the best idea because Mahomes is one of the best coming off a blitz.
Yeah, I mean, although I will say the Bills, last time the Bills blitzed Mahomes late in the game was when Teron Johnson picked him off. But again, what did that do? That forced Mahomes into a tough situation. But it's hard to do that with Patrick Mahomes. It's hard to put him in a situation where he's going to struggle. So defensively, it's going to be a real tough matchup for them. I mean, even though this Kansas City offense has struggled at times this year, they've got guys that maybe aren't the best players in the world, but they got guys that will be able to make plays. A Travis Kelce we've seen, right? Travis Kelce is one of the best, if not the best, tight end of all time. I know that's a very heavily debated thing. But yeah, when you look over at the other side, right, Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, and Isaiah Pacheco, those aren't guys that are going to necessarily scare you as in Justin Jefferson, Christian McCaffrey, but those guys can still make plays. And with a guy like Patrick Mahomes, he's always going to keep plays alive as long as he can. So this Bills defense is going to have a huge challenge on their hands when it comes to just, containing Mahomes, at least when it comes to containing and putting points on the board. Because we've seen him before. No matter who's on his team, we've been seeing him be able to put up points. But this is going to be a challenge this year because, as you've said, a lot of drops this year, a lot of issues separating. This wide receiver core has been very, very, very shaky this season. And I guess the lucky part is for Kansas City is that they do have Kadarius Toney not playing, who has been probably their worst receiver this year. I know that maybe Marquez Valdes-Scantling's also up there, but it definitely, it's hard to overtake Toney for the worst receiver in that Kansas City receiving core. But any last thoughts on the Bills defense matching up against this Kansas City offense before we go on to the Bills offense?
Not really. I just think that the Bills defense, as long as they execute the game plan, shouldn't be much of a problem. I can see the Chiefs running to a bootleg type scheme where they try bootleg a lot, get Mahomes out of the pocket before it's time to throw the ball. I see a lot more of that because it's not gone well for him inside the pocket against the Bills lately. So I think we'll see a lot of that contained style edge rusher kind of pressure.
Yeah, and that's it's going to be an interesting one for this defense. I mean, especially with these injuries. Next guy's up, right? Next guy's got to step up. But tomorrow we'll have some more answers on who specifically is going to be out, aka with Bernard and with Teron Johnson being the two big ones. But before we get into the offense, talk about the offense here a little bit, I do just want to let everybody know, if you do have any questions, feel free to drop in the comments. We'll get to as many as we can, and we'll just pull them up randomly throughout the show. So if you have any questions, drop them there in the comments. But with that being said, we do have the offense to talk about now. We always like to talk offense, talk defense. What are the keys to the game? Before we get into the keys of the game, though, this Kansas City defense, man, has been unbelievable this season. Chris Jones came back, signed in a one-year deal. He's been phenomenal. I know that Ladarius Sneed, even with the penalties, has still had a pretty good season this year. They got some very, very good pass rushers, in my opinion, at least, pass rushers up front there for the Kansas City defense. And they've been playing phenomenal this year. So what areas of the Kansas City defense to you scares you the most?
Chris Jones. That guy is amazing. And Bolton's back. I know that. He missed a few games. 32 on their defense. Outstanding. Karlaftis. Their pass rush, especially on that right side with Karlaftis and Chris Jones, is monstrous. I think that they're really, really good players, and they're coming to their own. Sneed at corner, very nice. He doesn't typically follow receivers, especially not into the slot. So I probably will see Stephon Diggs in the slot more this game to kind of pull him away from Sneed. But he likes the challenge. He likes to go out there and have the battle. So we'll see what goes on with that. But if he does take away Stephon Diggs, I see Khalil Shakir doing his thing. But yeah, they're defensive end, Karlaftis, linebacker Bolton, and defensive tackle Chris Jones. Those are the guys that can really break this game for them.
Yeah, I mean, you just mentioned those three guys, right? They have some studs at each level of the football, right? They got Chris Jones up front, middle of the field. You got your Nick Bolton, excuse me. And then you got Ladarius Sneed, and even on a guy that I don't believe you mentioned, maybe you didn't, I just misheard it, is the one guy who has got one vote more than Teron Johnson, and that's Trent McDuffie, who I know a lot of Bills wanted him. A lot of Bills fans wanted him coming out of the draft. The Chiefs did end up sneaking up, getting up farther than the Bills, getting McDuffie. But as you even mentioned, with that I think a week or two ago, or maybe it was last Kansas City show when we were talking about it, is Trent McDuffie. He's a slot corner, right? They've been having him play slot. For the Bills wise, it wouldn't have made too much sense at the time for the pick. But we're not here to talk about the pick. We're here to talk about the Kansas City defense. So Trent McDuffie, right? They got him as well. They got some Justin Reed who can make plays here and there. Mike Edwards, not obviously top tier guys, but they're very good players in the NFL here. So this Kansas City defense, though, I mean, Steve Spagnuolo has got these guys playing some phenomenal football, and I think that to me is exactly what scares me the most. It is their ability to set up, be in position from their coaching to be put in these positions to make plays. They have a phenomenal coordinator there. Andy Reid's been in the league also a long time, so he even though he's an offensive guy, he knows his stuff, right? He's a very, very good coach in the NFL. So they got some great coaches over there that know how to put these guys in position. So I'm going to go a different route there and say that the biggest thing that scares me most with this defense is the fact that their coaching is phenomenal. So what do you think about just their coaching and the way that they attack defenses, especially when it's coming towards a team like the Bills, who, is a top tier offense in this league, but they don't care. Kansas City doesn't care. They don't care who's on the other side of the ball. They're going to come after. They're going to make your life tough. So what do you think about just the coaching aspect of a young Joe Brady versus a Spagnuolo, who we all know he's been in the league a while. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. I think that Joe Brady, since that Eagles game, has learned to pick things up, right? We played the Chiefs after that game, won that game. And I think that Joe Brady probably took that as a learning experience, because most people would say that Spags versus Brady, Spags won that battle in that game. Granted, our defense also won the battle, and we just happened to have more points. So that's how that game went. It was a closer game than it probably should have been. But I think that since then, Spags has really picked it up. You look at the Steelers, Tomlin's a defensive head coach. He's excellent at what he does, even though he was missing TJ Watt. That defense still dangerous defense with their linebackers, with Hayward, with Highsmith, Joey Porter Jr. The Chiefs are a similar defense in the way they do things, maybe not schematically, but just the aggression that they show, which the Chiefs are a very aggressive defense. They are very aggressive. They like to blitz corners and the nickel. They'll blitz safeties from time to time. Excuse me, but it's something that Josh seems to be learning from too. When they blitz, you replace that player with the ball. That's how they describe it on TV though. Like, slot guy blitzes, that's where Khalil Shakir is. Boom, you replace that guy with the ball. And so once they clear out those spaces, Josh is learning to take advantage of that, which is a beautiful thing. And so I see them being aggressive, and if that doesn't work out for them, their adjustments will be they go to more of a shell type defense. At which point they're just asking to be picked apart there. So,
yeah. I think it's definitely going to be interesting to see how both Kansas City's defense and Buffalo's offense kind of, like you said, there's just changes their scheme, or not scheme, they changes their strategy throughout the game, right? And see how it goes along throughout the game, because that's going to be one of my keys to the game here for the offense. Is my next question is, what are your keys to the game for the offense? And one of them kind of goes with that. And it goes with the strategy here, and it's do not stray away from James Cook, even if it's not working early on. If it's not working early on, you got to stick with him. Now, I'm not saying to run him into the ground, and if it's second and 10 long or third and long, to necessarily try to even run it. But you have to keep it going, as Bill's chat is happening here. What's up, guys? What's up, Bill's chat? So shout out to them. Go check their stuff out. But yeah, it's just do not get away from Cook, right? Got to stick with him. He's an essential part of this offense, whether it's getting him involved still in the passing game, right? If the running game's not working, you have to keep Cook involved in this game plan. So that's going to be one of my keys to the game. The other one, get Stephon Diggs involved and just allow him and Allen to just do their thing. We talked about Ladarius Sneed, phenomenal cornerback, great cornerback. The thing that I want to look at, though, again, I brought it up last time they played the Chiefs. Sneed's had some trouble with penalties this season. Get Diggs lined up with him. And even necessarily get Diggs involved doesn't necessarily even mean the ball has to be thrown his way or the ball every down has to be thrown to him. It's make it be known that you're going to have put him on hot routes to the point where, maybe we'll look at him first, draw the defense all the way over to Diggs, then go whoever else it is, Kincaid or Knox, whoever it is. So just get Diggs involved. Let them know he's going to be there. He's coming for you. We're looking for him every play. And we're not just going to be looking, to just get the ball out to anybody. We're going to be looking to get Stephon Diggs involved. So that's going to be mine, is don't stray away from Cook. Get Diggs involved. Those two are going to be the key, right? I think you got to lean on your stars in the playoffs. It's going to be the stars that got to show up. So those are my keys to the game. What are your keys to the offense?
I agree with what you just said there, but like you said, the ball might not be going to Diggs or Cook at that time. You may be using them to decoy away from a Shakir from time to time, or from a Kincaid, or even Dawson Knox. I mean, Dawson Knox with that touchdown last week, I didn't think. Well, I thought he might get a touchdown because my prediction, my hot take was 3 touchdowns for the tight ends, and I was almost right, but
almost.
Dawson Knox, the way he ran that route and just got in the back of the end zone. The whole crew that's going into that game can play, and so if they're going to try and take away our best wide receiver, use him to take away their best corner and make that corner pay for the penalties that he commits. He usually commits 1 or 2 a game. So, yeah, especially against the elite receivers.
I do want to also ask you, before we move on to just, the random questions that we got going on. You talked about Chris Jones on the defensive side. We talked about, getting certain guys involved. I want to ask you about the battle in the trenches, right? And it just so happens I actually happen to be wearing a sweatshirt that literally says "in the trenches." I want to ask you about that battle, though, of Chris Jones and that defensive line versus the Bills and their offensive line. They've started every game with the same offensive line. I know they've had some banged up injuries. We talked about that before the show. Certain guys missed some snaps, but every game has started with the same offensive line for the Buffalo Bills. What do you think about this offensive line matching up against the defensive line, and who, in your opinion, has the biggest challenge on that offensive line to have just a stellar game?
O'Cyrus Torrence. He's going to be the one face to face with Chris Jones. You'll probably see us bring in David Edwards to be that 6th offensive lineman quite a bit to chip. We'll go power 4 and have just 4 receiving options out there. I mean, yes, technically the extra lineman would be a receiving option too. But you don't really see us use him as a receiver, which is exactly why you might see him as a receiver. But yeah, O'Cyrus Torrence is going to have the biggest challenge, most likely. Him and Spencer Brown, because Karlaftis is on that side too.
Yeah, and it's going to be, I think, with Torrence, you're talking about how just he's a rookie, and we talked about Spagnuolo. He's going to try to take advantage of that, right? These defensive coordinators, they look for any reason to challenge a rookie, right? And they're going to challenge him hard. It's only going to be his second career playoff game, right? And he has not missed a snap at all this season, so he's got a lot of work on him so far this year. He's battled a lot of guys, but that's going to be the big one. Is he's going to have to slow down Chris Jones somehow. So we'll have to see how that goes and how the offense matches up with it, and the offensive line matches up against the defensive line. Because in the trenches, man, they're going to have to win on either side of the ball. At the end of the day, in the playoffs, it's in the trenches. Can you slow down their pass rush? Can you get a good push up front? So we'll see how that goes. Now I got 2 random questions for you before we get into our show wrap up and our predictions and our hot takes. Very similar on either of them. It's just who has more pressure on them, and I got 2 of them for you. If anybody else has any that they want to ask about, any who has more pressure on them, go ahead, drop them in there, whether it's blank or blank. Just first one, who has the most pressure on them? Sean McDermott and his coaching staff, or Josh Allen and the players? Who has more pressure on them?
Josh Allen and the players. Josh Allen and the players, to me. The coaching staff can only do what they do, call plays, put you in the best position that they can put you in, but you have to take advantage of the situations and execute. And so the execution is really what's going to be. Most of the stuff that's happened this year, in my opinion, has been execution, right? You have to get out there and work the game plan. I know Josh is known. He's very well known for going off script. He's very well known for, creating on offense. This past game, he created some, and he stuck to the script some. That 52-yard run, totally off script. totally off script. But the passes to Dawson Knox, that was on script the whole way. The pass to Kincaid over the middle, that was a simple cover 2 read. He read cover 2. The linebacker couldn't keep up with Kincaid. You throw that pass every freaking time. Also, the safety got out of position. Once the safety dropped and Kincaid was headed up and that linebacker couldn't stick with him, that was a wrap.
He almost hit it twice, too.
Yeah, the only way it was going to fail is if Josh misses him. And, Josh has been dropping dimes. That game was all dimes from Josh. He had one ball that looked like it was going to be intercepted, and it wasn't, thank God. But other than that, everything else was a dot. Right on the money.
Even the 1-2 digs, that one that that was almost a touchdown. That was just a phenomenal play by I can't remember who made the play on Pittsburgh, but that was a good throw. It was good everything. It was just a phenomenal play. So yeah, even that throw was a phenomenal one.
Yeah, they have to keep executing at that level to win the Super Bowl, right? And that's the difference between a Super Bowl team and a not Super Bowl team, right? You have to execute at that level all the way around, offense and defense. So you might have some close games where both defenses suck, like last year's Super Bowl, where it was 38-35. Neither defense showed up for that damn game. That was all offense. You had 70-plus points of offense. The Bills need their players to really step up and handle their business.
Yeah, we got the Mac Chronicle was over here that today, and the Josh and we did have a lot of Josh and players, and I tried to put all of them up there. But he says Josh players, we finally got what we wanted: Mahomes in Buffalo, not KC. Up to the players to deliver now, and I agree with that. That's a great one that you haven't thought about. But I also wanted to bring up how and I'm going to bring up Thomas's comment here because I just see the last line. Kelsey has lost a step as well, and that kind of alludes to what I was about to say with the Bills, at least, of why it's more on the players to kind of come out and play. Is because how many more chances are most of these guys going to get like this? Right? Yeah. Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, both getting older. You got Mitch Morse getting older. I mean, I'm probably blanking on Jaquan Jones is getting older. Trey White, I know he's not playing this week, but again, he's going to be coming back next year. He's getting older, and he's also coming off another injury. Just guys getting older. Von Miller, right? Just down the line, right? And I know that they have a good core that's still there, that will be there, that's up and coming, right? With Kincaid, Cook, Bernard, those guys. But your other core, because I look at it as 2 cores. You got your old core and your young core. That old core, I'm not sure how many other chances many of them are going to get. So yeah, it comes down to the players at this point. Sean McDermott, I know, he's had his faults in the playoffs. And if the game ends up being that type of game where it's close, and yeah, maybe then that falls on the players, but at the end of on the coaching, but at the end of the day, to be in a position to win, it's going to be on the players to be in that position and put themselves in that position to win a football game. So I agree with you there. Now, the next one that I have, who has more pressure on them, is just real easy. Offense, defense. Who's got more pressure on them in your opinion?
Offense. The defense, we're not expecting as much from the defense due to injuries. But we do expect Sean McDermott to put together a very good game plan. The offense, though, there's no excuse for the offense to go out there and play stupid, right? That's the thing. It's like in the games where we have failed, it was stupid mistakes by players on the offense. Whether they ran the wrong route, whether Josh threw the ball to someone when there was somebody else wide open, not taking what you're given, missing blocking assignments. The offense is going to have that much more pressure. The defense, I think, is going to have a little more leeway and a little more flex to it due to the fact that those players are out. I do still expect a good defensive showing. And so maybe you would say, I think the defense has more because those players are backups and now they're in there. So maybe they have pressure. But I don't think so. Those guys are playing to try and find jobs elsewhere next year other than guys who are old like A.J. Klein. You got, Dorian Williams is looking to try to eventually get in the starting lineup. Kyrie Elam is going to be trying to look to get in the starting lineup next year. These guys are looking for extensions and or promotions within the scheme and the roster, especially on the defensive side. The offensive side is mostly set up for the near future. Diggs on the contract for 4 more years. Khalil Shakir is on his rookie contract still. Dalton Kincaid just drafted. Osiris Torrance was just drafted. Deion Dawkins is long-term here. Spencer Brown's long-term here. Connor McGovern just on a 3-year deal. But you know who's Mitch Morse and Latavius Murray. That's about it on offense. So I think that the defense is going to have some motivation to really put good tape out there. I think there's gonna be less pressure on them for that. And the offense is the part of the team that is set up to be a winner now.
I'm actually going to go with the defense having more pressure due to partly some of the facts that you were saying of, the offense has guys under contract. They have their offense pretty much set for next year for the years coming. And it's kind of also to the point of the Bills defense being a little bit older, right? There's a lot of pressure on Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer to really put another great game together. With Von Miller, there's a lot of pressure for him to start performing the way that he should be. And I know, he's injured and he's coming back from an injury, but there is pressure on him to start getting it done, right? There's pressure on a Daquan Jones who knows if he'll be here next year, right? So I think there's a lot more pressure on this defense, even when I'm looking at the defense that comes into a factor of a Sean McDermott, right? Because if this defense doesn't show up, and the Bills all end up losing 41-38, 35-30, whatever it is, people are going to take a hard look at that defense and say, well, do they just run it back? Do they need to make another change? Okay. What needs to change? Because I think there will be some conversation of, well, Sean McDermott, as great as the defensive coordinator or defensive coach he is, well, why does this keep happening in the playoffs? Why does this defense keep collapsing? Or even with just, like I said, the guys getting older, do they move on from a Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde then and start bringing other guys in? Do they not bring a sign of Daquan Jones? Where the offense, even if they struggle, yes, it will be, well, we kind of know then what they need, right? We know that they'll need to upgrade that wide receiver 2 position. We know that, Joe Brady, as much as it becomes a harder decision to make with him if they struggle this week, it's okay, well, now we can explore every option and say, all right, well, is Joe Brady really the guy? So I it's a tough question. I think either way, you can go back and forth, and we got Bill's chat. They got they're with you, Izzy. They're picking the offense, and just he doesn't think it has potential shootout. They're not explosive, which it's very fair to say. Which it's like I said, it's tough to go back and forth because, as you mentioned, the offense, it's all going to be down to that. It should be down to them at the end of the day, right? It should be the defense should be great. This offense for Kansas City struggling, but that's also partly again why I think the pressure's on the defense, because again, like we said, if this struggling Chiefs offense starts to put points on the Bills defense, more questions come up. More why is the one team that we're struggling against majorly this Kansas City team? Why this Kansas City offense who struggled all year? So I see every back and forth. It's a little tough. I think it's a very tough one to kind of come down to. At the end of the day, though, I think the pressure's on the team as a whole. It's fun to look at it as offense or defense, but at the end of the day, it's as a whole. So, any last comments though on just the pressure being on certain the offense or defense? I know we both brought up points that are kind of they're back and forth, but they're all both things that I think everybody's looking at as okay, yeah, that's definitely fair. So what do you think about the last thoughts on offense defense pressure?
I'm still sticking with the offense. That's the side of the team that has zero excuses for failure. They have zero excuses for failure. There's nothing on that offensive side of the ball that's damaged to the point that it should fail. We're missing Gabe Davis. Good. We're missing some drops. Cool. Other than that, I really don't see the issue with the offense. Defense, they at least have that excuse that, hey, we've been injured. Granted, I don't like the fact that it can be used as an excuse. It is what it is.
But it's a very valid one.
It just is what it is. So you take it for what it is and you just rock with it. But yeah, I don't think that Poyer and Hyde are here after the season anyway. I think this is it. Hyde's contract is up, and they save a bunch of money switching to Geico and cutting Poyer. So,
yeah, no, I mean, I think actually, alluding to again what you just said there with the defense having the excuse, I guess, of injuries, and it is one that people might say, well, I don't like using an excuse, but it is when you look at it, especially if they're missing Bernard and Jaron Johnson tomorrow. I mean, those are two names of the long list that they're missing, right? So we'll see if they end up playing and whatnot. But it's a question that I think I might put a poll out after this on my Twitter just to see what people think is the biggest or has the most pressure on them. So yeah, that's a pretty good one. The last question I have here, actually, just last who has more pressure is I thought of when I saw Kevin's comment here. Kevin says, "I see the game coming down to the kickers. Bass misses and Butker is perfect. Shame a game comes down to kickers, but guys, Chiefs guy is money. Now, Tyler Bass has had his struggles this year, but at the end of the day, he's still hitting on around his average on the season. He's hitting at 82%. Harrison Butker is hitting way above what he hit last year, more towards his average. His average is about 89%. He's hitting on 94% this year. However, last year he hit on 75% of his kicks. So he struggled mightily last year. So who has more pressure on them, I guess? Harrison Butker, Tyler Bass.
Harrison Butker, because we're scoring touchdowns.
I'm going to go with Tyler Bass just based off of his especially last game. If he misses has another rough game, and I know one of them got blocked, but again, it was a very low kick in my opinion, from when you looked at it. And then the second one, or the last one, I don't even know what happened on the last one. So I think when it comes to narrative around them, it's going to be on Tyler Bass. But when it's looking at the way, of who's going to have more kicks to worry about, yeah, then it's on Harrison Butker, because Harrison Butker will have more kicks, or should have more kicks to worry about. So another one that I wanted to just bring up there real quick, since I saw the comment, and Tracy, Tyler Bass is the best. He's been a good kicker. He's been a very good kicker. Wouldn't say the best, but we love the Bassmaster 5000 over here, as I've been calling him on occasion all season. But I did just say it, although I believe a couple weeks ago we were talking about how he might have to earn that name back, right? And even after last game, he might still have to earn that Bassmaster name back. And then Cheryl also picking Bass as well, having more pressure on him. Okay. So yeah, there's the who has more pressure questions of the day. Now we can get into our predictions and hot takes and everybody's favorite part of the show. So we'll start it off. I do just want to bring up one comment we got here with their prediction. It's Pat. He says, the 2 times we lost to KC in the playoffs, I feared one player only, and that dude is gone. No Tyreek. So he's going Bills 31-21. Great score there. Bills winning by 10. What do you got for your score prediction there?
I got the Bills winning 27-16. They kick a field goal. They kick 3 field goals and score a touchdown, and that'll be the end of their playoff run. The Bills will put up 3 touchdowns and 2 field goals, and we go into Baltimore next week.
All right, yeah, and then we got the Mac-Chronicle, which for some reason every time I read that now, I just think it's like Mac Jones Chronicle. So I'm just thinking Mac Jones when I see it. He's going 24-13 Bills. So another Bills there. Now, I talked to you about this before the show, and we've talked about it the past few weeks. I'm back and forth on mine. I'm going 23-17 Bills. And for those who haven't watched the past few weeks, last week I believe I went Bills, but barely.
I think you said 33-31 or some shit like that.
Yeah, it was a real close one. And then the Dolphins, I picked the Dolphins. So it's been something kind of like reverse psychology I've kind of been doing, of either minimizing the score of what I think it would be or picking the other team. I almost went Chiefs this week just to continue with that reverse psychology, but then I know that I already have a bunch of people coming after me, so I'm just not going to do that. But I'm going 23-17 Bills. Not necessarily, like I said, it's just a little bit of reverse psychology with the score there. I think it will be a little bit wider margin than that. But my score prediction, I'm going to go 23-17 Bills. Predictions are fun to me, but I don't know. What do you think about? Because I'm one of those guys where I'm not a huge prediction person when it comes to being serious about them, because again, it's prediction. It's so hard to predict them. What do you think about people seeing predictions and taking them seriously compared to not seriously?
I mean, I don't take much of anything too serious, and I don't think people should either, unless it's something that's actually serious, like a prediction of a score in a football game. Get over it. It's what it is. It's a football game, and we all care. Not to say that we don't care, but it's just a fun activity to do, to look at the 2 teams, compare them, think about what you feel is going to happen in the game, and then make a prediction based off the educated guess that you have, if you're that educated, or just the guess that you have because you've been a casual and just looked over the year and seen, okay, well, the Bills average this much and they average that much, and that's just what it is, 30-20, because the Bills average 30 and they average 20. But it's really just a fun activity to do. So Don't take them too serious. Just enjoy it. Laugh at them if you think they're funny. Like if you think someone's off base, but there's no need to be mean or rude. Just
Well, the reason I ask that is because of we've been seeing a lot of the analysts and ESPN, and they'll all do their picks, and a lot of them have been Kansas City. I know a lot of people. I like to see how people think if they take them super serious or whatnot. I kind of like actually being the underdog and seeing people pick the Chiefs. A lot of people have been picking the Chiefs, so I like actually seeing that. So that's pretty funny to me. But yeah, don't take them super serious. And I do want to bring up some of the other comments here. We got Cheryl. She's got 31-27 Bills, so a little bit closer there. Thomas has also got a similar one, 31-24 Bills. So another pretty close one there. And then Adam here with a similar one to mine, but 24-17 Bills in a close one. So it seems like the consensus is at least a close game. And then we got Ismael here with I'm ready. Flew in last night. Got second row seats behind the Bills. It's going to be cold, but a hot win. Yeah, it's going to be cold, but hopefully that last part you are correct on. So welcome back to Buffalo if this is not your first time. Welcome to Buffalo if it is your first time. But yeah, it's going to be a fun one. And glad you made it safe. Glad you flew in safe. But there's our predictions. If you guys got any other ones, drop them down below. But let's get into our hot takes here. Hot takes. Hot. They are always fun. We've very rarely been right this year. I think I got one right. And I want to say you've gotten two right so far. Or no, you had one, but I think last week you were close with the 2-3 tight ends. You had two of them. Hot start.
Should have had a third one. That happens.
Yeah, it happens. But again,
he had Kincaid wide open on the right. He threw it to Diggs. It was a good pass to Diggs, but it wasn't successful. But he had Kincaid like wide open to the right. That's a walk-in touchdown from 20 yards out.
Are you talking about the one where he rolled out to the right and then looked around and then found Diggs in the middle of the field?
Yeah, but then he had like Kincaid up field wide open. I'm like, Kincaid was open.
No, and I'm sorry. I gotta bring this comment up from Ismail. I just saw it. So not his first time. Lives in Florida, but bought a house in Orchard Park just to watch games. That's actually awesome that you're able to do that, one, and two, doing it, which is also awesome. So that's awesome. Yeah. Welcome back. And glad you made it safe.
And be in Buffalo just so he can have a spot to stay at during the season.
So what I'm hearing is if we win the Super Bowl, party. No, party all right, but then before we get into our actual hot takes, I do want to bring up John's just weather here. Weather should be decent for anybody wondering, in the 20s, so not as cold as last game. I know last game was freezing, but yeah, that's a good one. And then Von Miller to cook here. Von Miller shows up and gets a sack. That's his hot take. That actually, I brought it up also because that is one of mine. I actually am going to go. I went a little bit further though, and I said Von Miller gets a strip sack in this game. But to be fair, even just saying him getting a sack is very much a hot take, which is what it is at this point. But I almost did just go regular sack, but I'm gonna go with a strip sack. So there's my first one. Thomas got his right there. What is your first hot take?
My first hot take. This one's tough. I have Rasul Douglas picks off Mahomes twice.
I like that one. I like that one. That would be a good one to go with mine as well, because my second one, which is Patrick Mahomes gets picked off 3 times total. I guess if I have to pick now, I'll go off of yours, and I'll go 2 of them by Rasul. So I'll kind of piggyback off you there. And then the last one, I'm gonna go with I think it's gonna be a hot one. I'm gonna go with Dorian Williams for the third one. Might not get a ton of playing time. We'll see how much he does get into the game, but that'll be my hot one then, I guess, out of those 3. So that's my second one. What do you got for your second one?
My second one, I have Daquan Jones with 4 tackles for loss.
Wow, 4 tackles for loss, Daquan Jones. He's been a beast, man. And I saw a comment earlier. I'm blanking on who brought it up. Somebody brought up. Oh, there it is. Oh no, never mind. I believe it was the Mac Chronicle that brought it up. I'm just not finding the comment. Talking about how, yes, here it is. Talking about how last time the Bills played the Chiefs did not have Pacheco, and the Bills did not have Daquan Jones. So that's going to be a huge one for them. Getting Daquan Jones back, so I do like that one as well. And then I like that. Daquan, man, give him that extension, man. Give him that extension. He deserves it. My third hot take is I don't even know if it's a hot take necessarily, because we've seen it a lot, at least as Bills fans. Josh Allen throws 2 interceptions even in the win. So even despite the win, Josh Allen will still throw 2 interceptions, and the Bills will still win. So that's my last hot take. What is your third and final one?
Josh Allen throws for 5 touchdowns. No, it can't be that. I got him winning 27-16. I just want to say something crazy.
Well, I mean, hot takes, they don't necessarily have to go with your prediction.
All right, then to hell with it. Josh Allen throws for 5 touchdowns, or he scores 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
2 on the ground, but he scores 5.
I could see all 5 being on the ground, if I'm being honest.
I don't care how they are. 6 is 6, baby.
Yeah, 6 is 6 at the end of the day. So I like that one as well.
People are like, Adam. Running back stats. He's got 15 rushing touchdowns. So they all count, though, right? Like when he runs in, they still put a 6 up there, and then somebody else comes up and kicks it for one more.
My favorite one is. Oh well, a lot of his rushing touchdowns came in between the 5-yard line. If anybody just watched the Ravens, by the way, Gus Edwards had 13 touchdowns on the year. 11 of them, 11 within the 3-yard line. So if it doesn't matter for running backs, it doesn't matter for quarterbacks. A touchdown's a touchdown. But we do have some other hot takes here before we hop off. Adam has a Douglas INT and an Ed Oliver forced fumble recovery. I like that one as well. 2 guys playing some great football. I know Douglas didn't play last week, but still playing some great football when they've been on the field. So I like that one. Whoa. Thomas, he's got a second one, is that Trent Sherfield has a breakout game. Now, Thomas, I want you to elaborate on that a little bit, because breakout game for Trent Sherfield could mean a lot different than a breakout game for Khalil Shakir, right? So I like that one. I want to see, though, the specifics of what he breaking out. Is it a lot of touchdowns, a lot of yards? What do you got for me there? And then we got Bill's chat still in here saying my hot take is Sherfield leads receivers in receiving yards. So I guess similar to Thomas's, Sherfield, big game. I mean, could see it, right? This guy's got to step up. It's the playoffs. Gabe Davis is out. And then Tracy saying the Bills, I say no interceptions this time for Josh, and the Bills may be interceptions from the Chiefs. So Josh turnover free, at least when it comes to interceptions, and the Bills getting a little interceptions from the Chiefs. So got some good ones there. And if any of them happen, we'll have to be sure to pull it out there. Thomas, though, with Shakir, with Sherfield, 6 for 70 with 1 touchdown. Now that'd be a phenomenal game. That'd be a great one. A lot of people would be pleasantly surprised with that one. So I like that one, Thomas. That's a good one. So yeah, that, another big game coming up, guys. If you're going to be there, hopefully, dress warm. Don't dress too cold or too light. Always overdo it. Ismail here also has got Epinesa balls out, or not. Epinesa balls out, and then knocks 2 touchdowns. So that's a good one as well. And then Bill's chat. Sorry, I'm just reading the last comment here with Bill's chat. Snead on Diggs, McDuffie on Shakir. I think Sherfield gets majority of Davis's snaps in his very favorable matchup. I like that. Somebody's got to do it, right? Somebody's got to get open, whether it is Shakir or Diggs, but they, like you said, they got tough matchups there. And then we got some more stat lines coming in here. We got Dalton Kincaid, 2 touchdowns and 80 yards. Now,
some Dalton love. Let's go, baby.
It is some Dalton love, and we'd love that. It was DK squared last week. This would be a different type of DK squared if he gets 2 touchdowns. I do like that one. He's been getting open a lot. He's been getting open a very, very good amount. And then we got another one, Kincaid. Kincaid's a hot pick today, right? Kincaid. 6 for 85 and then 1 touchdown. I like that. Kincaid, get him involved, man. Get him involved. They spent the first on him for a reason. So that's going to do it for us, though. Any last words, Izzy, as we got Bill's chat? Great show. Shout out Bill's chat. Everybody go check out their show. Please go check it out. Go check out their Twitter, everything.
Luca and Josh, right?
Huh?
That's Luca and Josh, right?
Yeah. So go check them out on Twitter, Facebook, everything. I'm not sure if it's just Bill, if they have their individual, like an individual one for Facebook that I'm actually blanking on, but they do have their individual Facebooks themselves. But go check them out everywhere. But any last words, Izzy, before we hop off here?
No, go Bills. Expect expect a good game. For us at least. So yeah, that's it. That's it. Just go Bills. Enjoy the game. Enjoy your Sunday prior to the game. Make sure you sit down and just process what you watch. Just enjoy it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Because I like I said, I'm getting up. I'm gonna go watch The Beekeeper with my family. Come home. Should be here a couple hours before the game starts. I'll watch the Built in Buffalo pregame show. Probably take me a shower and put on some fresh Bills drip and be ready to do the post game.
Yeah, and like I said, everybody stay safe in the weather, whether you're watching at home or whether you're at the game itself. Be safe. It's going to be a good one. You guys were awesome again today in the comments, just, with lighting it up with some great hot takes, some great questions, everything like that. So shout out to you guys again. Going to be a good one. Hopefully Bills just win, baby. Just win. That's all that matters, no matter if it's by 1 point or 30 points. Just win. Let's go to Baltimore in next week. Sorry, I almost thought it was 2 weeks for some reason. Next week, let's go to Baltimore and let's get that job done. But first, let's take care of business at home in the Ralph. Everybody have a phenomenal night, phenomenal weekend, or end of their weekend. And as always, as I pull up Thomas's last comment here, as always, spread some love. Go spread some love this week. Win or lose, go spread some love. So as always, go Bills. Have a good one. See you guys next.